Another stunning fragrance from the house of Nishane. Today it's going to be Kredo. This one here, another one of Nishane's more under the radar works, but the fragrance that this takes after is very well known. I'm sure you all will have heard of that one. Stick around to find out more. Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Today it's going to be Kredo by Nishane. A lot of people probably have not heard of this one. Like I said in the introduction, it's one of Nishane's more under the radar works. However, I'll just get straight to the point. This smells a whole lot like Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Yeah, so let's get into this one here. Nishane, one of my very favorite fragrance houses and my favorite niche house. Stunning, stunning house. Their releases are just incredible. I've yet to find one that I do not like. So this one here, Kredo, is part of Nishane's time capsule line. And within that line, there's also Tempfluo, there's Papalefico, and Taro, I think is the other one. So 4 fragrances in the time capsule lineup. So we can see here, Kredo, Nishane, Auckland. Auckland being a city in New Zealand. So if you're not familiar with Nishane, each bottle has a different city name because for one reason or another, this fragrance is inspired by that city. I've already done a video about Patchouli Koja from Nishane where I go more in depth into the house itself. So if you want to know more about Nishane, please check out that video that I've done. I'm going to post the link to it right up here. So Kredo, Nishane Auckland Extrait de Parfum. A little bit of background about the fragrance. Kredo means belief in Esperanto. Esperanto being a constructed language that was invented taking bits and pieces of, the most commonly spoken European languages, Spanish, English, Italian, Russian, etc. And its original purpose was to be a universal second language used to facilitate international communication. So Kredo in that constructed language means belief. And the inspiration for this fragrance is the fact that everybody has beliefs. We all have beliefs. All of them very different, but the one thing that unites us is that we all have a belief, even if the beliefs are totally different from one another. So Nishane wanted to depict how our beliefs shape our lives and experiences. Everybody has their own beliefs. Literally, beliefs are all over the map. I think they were inspired by Auckland because Auckland is the farthest city in the world from Istanbul, Turkey, where Nishane is based. And like the whole point of this cologne here is to illustrate the fact that we all have beliefs, a very wide variety of beliefs. And like I said, the beliefs being all over the map, literally and figuratively. So I think they were going for like, united in our different beliefs kind of concept with this fragrance. Very interesting stuff here. And, briefly gonna go over the presentation. The box here, this is from their time capsule collection. All the fragrances in this line have the same design, same box. Sleeve comes off the top, which reveals the box, the part of the box where the perfume lays, slides out to the side like this. Oh, and there's a card, obviously. There's a card. Every Nishane fragrance comes with a postcard. And this is the postcard that comes with Kredo. I'm not really sure what this design represents, but it's an interesting design. And as I've stated before, I love Nishane's presentations, classy and understated. So getting into the bottle itself now, typical Nishane style bottle. This one's a 50 ml. The cap comes off. This one here, the cap seems to fit much tighter than my Patchouli Koja. Cap's still very heavy. I wouldn't want to pick this one up by the cap. And the bottle itself is also very heavy. We can see the design on the front here. Yeah, solid bottles. I really like the design in Nishane's bottles. So getting a spray out of this. Oh my goodness. So this one here is a pretty intense fragrance to start off with, I'll say that. So in the top, I get some cardamom and pink pepper. In the mid, I get some oud and osmanthus. And in the dry down, I get more oud, some suede, and a little bit of sandalwood. So the very first note we're gonna get hit with is that cardamom. So the cardamom, spicy, sweet, it's warm, it's a little bit camphorous as well. It has like a slight touch of citruses maybe, and it's kind of clovey, reminds me of cloves in a way. And also, I detect just a little tiny bit of pink pepper. The pink pepper is not loud or very apparent in this fragrance, but in the top it does add a slight musky floral tinge. Although, like I said, it is not strong at all. It's totally overpowered by the cardamom in the beginning. Very, very strong bite from the cardamom here. And in the dry down, the oud starts to make itself quite apparent. Now this is a little bit funky. It starts off very strong, animalic, and other than that, it's woody, you know, it's dark. It's got kind of a charred wood feeling to it as well. Not straight up smoky, but burnt wood. And the osmanthus in this, again, overpowered by the oud, but you do notice the osmanthus. And the osmanthus in this fragrance gives it a kind of fruity accord. It smells a little bit like apricot. And with that, there's like a little bit of soft muskiness as well coming from the osmanthus. In the dry down is more of that oud. Throughout the dry down, the oud gets a little bit more tame, but it's still quite present throughout the entire lifespan of the fragrance here. And in the dry down, that's mixed with some suede, so it's like a light leather, kind of dusty in a way. And there's some sandalwood, which is gonna give it a creamy, musky woodiness in the bottom here. So if I had to summarize what this fragrance smells like in simple terms, I would say that it's spicy, sweet, creamy, charred, and animalic. Also, throughout the lifespan of this fragrance, I think because of the combination of that oud, osmanthus, suede, and a little bit of that cardamom, gives it a little bit of a, I don't know if it's like a coffee characteristic or maybe a slightly chocolatey characteristic, something along those lines, like roasted coffee or cocoa, something like that. You know, I get a little bit of that throughout the entire lifespan of the fragrance as well. Very interesting fragrance here. So now, you know, what I'm sure all of you guys are going to be wondering is, like, does this smell like Oud Wood? And yeah, it absolutely does. It smells very similar to Oud Wood by Tom Ford. Now, here's the thing. If you're a fragrance collector, you've undoubtedly heard of Oud Wood. Very good fragrance, super solid fragrance. The smell is awesome, but you know, the performance really isn't. The performance is pretty bad actually on Oud Wood. That is not the case with Kredo. Kredo is like Oud Wood elixir. Every single component is just more concentrated. It's louder, it's more apparent. You know, for example, there's oud in this. I mean, technically it's an oud accord, and Nishane actually admits that it's not real oud being used here, but it is an oud accord. It's made to smell like legitimate, authentic oud, and it's very present in here. There's an animalic bite to this fragrance, which I guess kind of exists in Oud Wood, but in Oud Wood it's like turned way down. Like I said, this Kredo might as well be called Oud Wood elixir. This is like everything that Oud Wood has ever dreamt of being. It's just Oud Wood like turned up to 11. But I will reiterate, there's an animalic funk to this. Performance on this one, super loud. In fact, actually, it's quite a loud fragrance, very long lasting. This is one of those fragrances that's just gonna last you all day long. Definitely one of the strongest performers in my collection. So that brings me to the versatility. Not as versatile as Oud Wood, partly because Oud Wood is just a much softer fragrance in terms of performance, but also the smell itself of Oud Wood is just, it's more versatile. I think you could wear it in more places. If I would wear Oud Wood to the office, this would be one for like nights out, maybe being outdoors even, going for a walk in the fall. I think this absolutely leans towards cold weather. Although, you know, if you like it, wear it whenever you want in any season. Although I would not recommend wearing this to work or even in a close quarters scenario like a date. I mean, if you were gonna wear it on a date, I would put this on like 2 hours before I went out. And by that 2 hour mark, it will have softened up, you know, in terms of the animalic funk. Drawing down into kind of a sweet creaminess with a little bit of that charred wood in the background. So like in the far dry down, let's say, you know, this would be kind of pleasant, maybe even a little bit sexy for a date scenario. But like, I would not just spray this on and go. You have to let this one dry down a little bit, because in my opinion, it's funky. It's definitely funky for the first couple of hours, let's say. And as usual, you know, for a formal event, this would be super appropriate. It would be very good. It's a little bit mature. I think, you know, you have to have a little bit of experience with fragrance collecting in order to appreciate this one, mostly because of that funkiness that comes with it. So like if you're a fan of Oud Wood, but you want something just way stronger, yeah, definitely this is gonna be one for you. But I mean, if you don't know what the Oud Wood DNA smells like, I do not recommend going out and buying this. You know, it's not the most animalic fragrance out there at all by any means. But it's not beginner friendly, I wouldn't say. So definitely try to get a sample of this before you commit to purchasing a full bottle. And that should apply for any fragrance, but especially ones like this that have a little bit of a bite to them, you know? And another reason why this is just superior to Tom Ford's Oud Wood is the price. The price of this one is considerably less expensive than Tom Ford's Oud Wood. So for example, Tom Ford's Oud Wood 100 milliliter bottle on FragranceNet comes to $280 US, while this Nishane Kredo 100 milliliter bottle comes to 172 US for a tester bottle. So that essentially means that Kredo is 37% cheaper than Oud Wood, which directly translates to like a 1.6 times cheaper than Oud Wood. So it's not quite half the price of Oud Wood, but it's on its way to becoming half the price, let's say. So, you know, better fragrance, way better value, because the performance is super good on this. And, you know, it has that same Oud Wood DNA. It's a great fragrance, great quality, supremely blended, as all Nishanes are, honestly. So, yeah, I'm just full of great things to say about Kredo by Nishane. It's an absolute stunner. So, I hope you've enjoyed this review, guys. Until next time, keep it real.